The Sporting Dog Adventures podcast is proudly brought to you by Soggy Acres Retrievers. Whether you're looking for a black, yellow, or chocolate Labrador Retriever puppy, please check out our website for more information at www.soggyacres.com. You can also email Jeff at sportingdogtv@gmail.com or call 262-215-9683. And remember, everyone deserves a soggy dog. Welcome to the Hunting Guy Podcast. I'm your host, Jeff Fuller, and I wanted to talk to everyone today about the importance of getting your hunting properties ready. It's time to make a list, folks. So what I do this time of year is we're just getting to the point where we're going to plant our food plots. So when you do your food plots, I've done them for 25 years now, and I struggled so much to begin with. And what I always didn't realize was that I had inert or old seed, not inert, but old seed from the year before sitting on top of the ground, and I was tilling it in. That caused weed growth that was immediate because I was putting that in along with the seed that I wanted for the food plot. So what I started doing is I will till my plots early before everything's growing, get that seed in the ground, get everything greening up. Then I will spray it with a glyphosate product like Roundup, kill everything off, and then we have our planter this year. We're going to actually use something called Dual Magnum after we plant, and that is a preventative. It doesn't let seed grow unless it is set up that way. So we're planting stuff that will grow if Dual Magnum's on the ground, but it'll stop the weed seed from growing for up to a month. So that's going to help us get into a head start, so that we're really ahead of the game, so that we're really in good shape getting our stuff out of the ground. Now, when you look at your food plots, I've read articles that say you shouldn't have food plots that are too large, that you should section them off. I've seen this in theory at our place, but what we have where I am at is my food plots are right next to a wetland. So we have lots of cattails, high grass, and a small woods, and the deer will be in there, and it actually, I don't think the size of the food plot matters because our one food plot is about 400 yards long. What we'll do is we'll stick a deer decoy out and we'll pull the deer into the food plot earlier that way. But what we have struggled with is, especially I've got one by the house, it just doesn't seem that once we get into hunting season that we're seeing deer in that food plot. So this year I'm going to try what is called a screening type product, envision something that's 8 to 10 feet tall. It's going to be about probably 10 feet deep as far as the growth, and that should block the animal's view up to my house, which my one food plot sits. There's one right behind the house. There's nothing I can do about it, but I've got another one that sits very much past that one where we're going to put this screen in so that, yes, we won't be able to watch the animals when they're there, but I think it'll give them confidence to be out there because then they won't have us at the house making noise, making a commotion, and then spooking them off. It doesn't seem to affect anything in the spring and summer, but when we're into fall, when the deer are being hunted, it just seems like they're just not there. So what we're going to do is we're going to put this product in, have basically a screen so that the deer cannot see into that area. And then hopefully that will translate to the point where we are in a lot better shape. We're getting daytime activity and we're getting more active area for that part of our property. When I look at this property, last year I did a lot of look around it. There were animal trails through it. It is an area that has at least 40 acres of cattails with a food plot just off it. So there should be viable hunting there. But as we've hunted over the years, it just hasn't worked. It just hasn't been something that's really been an asset to our hunting property. We've seen a few deer there, but we've struggled on it. So that's what we're going to do this year in our food plots. This is also the time of year when you should start to look at getting your trails in, so that you have a quiet, easy way to get in, so you can walk in. I will actually take a small sprayer and I will spray a trail so that I can get in somewhere. Mind you, if you want to make trails for deer, you can use a weed whacker or you can spray something and you can clear an area so that they will start using that trail. That is something that is important to do now and not wait until during the season. Too often we get to the point where we're looking at going, my gosh, it's hunting season. I have to go out and get everything ready. At that point, guys, it's too late. You have to get out there earlier. You have to get it set up so that you are not making something different during hunting season. It's something I have failed on time and time again because we're all busy. And it's something that this year I'm going to make sure is done early. That includes setting my stands. We're going to try to have everything set and up by mid-July. So there's months until hunting season starts. Now, I will tell you, owning property and having kids and buddies that hunt, the other thing is, if you have the ability where you are being allowed to hunt at someone's property, you got to help out. Don't put it on the landowner, because you will end up where the landowner eventually just sells part of the land because it becomes unmanageable. Our properties have both waterfowl and deer on them. They are really tough to get around on because it's a marsh, and it is something that it's overwhelming. I probably could have many more spots for especially waterfowl hunting, but it just gets to the point where it's like I only have so much time. And I hate to say it, but I'm old. So I'm getting older. I'm putting a lot more of this stuff on my kids so that they understand how important it is to get out there. I get that everybody's time is important. I get that everybody's life is busy. But if you are hunting on a property and it's yours, or you're hunting on a property that you're being allowed to go, don't just have time for hunting during hunting season. That's just, it's a way that you're going to lessen your chances. But if you don't own the property, it's also a good way to get to the point where the property owner eventually just says that you can't hunt on there anymore. Or like myself, you contemplate, like, should I just sell it? Like, it just gets to the point where it's like, I have enough for me. Do I really need to have more? No one can have too much hunting land, as my wife once told me, should bottle that. I wanted to look at a piece of property and she's like, well, do you have enough? And I'm like, who says that? What wife would say, do you have enough hunting land? But there's never too much hunting property, because it's great where you can actually sit fresh stands and you can be put in a better spot. Waterfowl hunting, not hunting the same blind. But at the same time, you have to realize how much time goes into things. I would say going up and working on the property and getting stuff ready for hunting, I'm looking at probably a solid 10 days from close of season in winter through our first season that starts September 1st. There's going to be days in between then where we're also putting stuff up, whether it's cameras or doing a fall food plot. So you're looking at 10 days before the season starts that I'm personally putting in the field. You're probably looking at an additional 3 to 5 days once the season started where you have to fix stuff because something happened or you have to adjust. Keep that in mind. Realize that your time is definitely precious. But if we're going to do this and do it the right way, if you're hunting on someone's property, help them. If it's your property, let's start looking at stuff now. Make a list. Look at what you need to get. It will be overwhelming when you think of it in the totality. If you think, oh my gosh, I've got X, Y, and Z to do, and you don't write it down on a list. You can check stuff off. I've had to do that. It's gotten to the point where part of my list was ordering seed. I got the seed ordered. Ordering the herbicide. Got that ordered. Getting a weekend set up so that we could go up and plant with help. Got that set up. Getting the planter put together so that we learn how to use that planter and can get it out there. Got that done. Tilled fields. There's a lot to it that we've done to this point, but it's more manageable if you just make a list and get yourself set. So that's it for this part of the show. Next up, I wanted to talk about screening a little bit more in depth with your food plots on our tip part. And then in the last part of the show, what did we have? We have tree placement. So when you're getting ready to hunt, to put out a tree that the deer will use for rubbing as well as scrapes, that we'll use in the last part of the show. All that and more coming up after this.
Dog kennels can be beautiful. That's the basis on which we built DCT Kennels. We give you the opportunity to have a beautiful kennel that blends seamlessly with your home decor while providing a safe and comfortable respite for your dog. Visit dctkennels.com to see all of our custom selections and start building your dream custom doggy crate Denza.
Welcome to Boucher in Janesville, where customer service is our #1 priority.
Our customers come back to us because of the experience that we provide for them.
We're here to make sure that we find you the right car, one that fits your budget, and do so in a timely manner.
When we say we ride with you every mile, it means we care about you and how you are treated.
Estamos con personal que habla español en los departamentos de servicio y venta.
Our certified technicians are here to help you with all your service needs.
Visit us today at Boucher.com.
At Boucher, we ride with you every mile.
Hey, welcome back to the show. So next up, I wanted to talk more about food plot screens and having stuff set up and why you need it. So when I talk about my own properties, I will tell you that I need a screening product because when a farmer's field that is next to ours gets cut, the deer can be seen by the road. And I've watched the deer, they get nervous. They come out a little later as the season goes on. So I'm going to buy into this screening thing, and I am going to actually screen along the edge of my property. Instead of having a food plot there, I'm going to put a screen in, and I'm going to see if that can pull these animals back out earlier during hunting season. Now, our property is unique where our bedding area is right next to the food plot. Very cool. The deer come out earlier. You're going to see them earlier. It's a struggle when I had a property in the past where the deer would bed probably a quarter to a half mile away. They're getting up and they're moving to that area, and it takes them a long time to get there, and you're seeing them just at dark. Our properties are set up that you're right off the bedding area. You'll see those deer, generally speaking, sometimes up to an hour and a half before the end of hunting or the end of shooting hours. And it's nice because they will be out there. Now, I've watched in the past where on weekends when things weren't as busy, the deer would be out, but during the week, it was a struggle. So this year I'm going to try, basically, it's going to be 2 yards, six foot wide line of grass seed that I bought that will grow thick, it'll grow tall, and I'm going to have that in just to see if that does affect the animals. Our food plot could be split into 2. I'm not going to do it this year. I'm going to see how this works. And the other thing I thought of would be blocking the food plot so that the deer can't look from certain areas to peer in to see if there's anything in the food plot. We personally have had good daytime activity, especially on weekends, where the deer will look out. And especially, I love hunting with the decoy. I'll have a doe decoy out there, and the deer will come out because they have confidence with another animal out in the food plot. So we're not going to try to screen off so they can't see into the food plot or split the food plot, but we're definitely going to do that. And then the other thing that we're going to do is by the house, as I talked about in the last segment, I've got a food plot that is in view of the house. It is awesome because you can watch deer in it. You can watch waterfowl. You can watch turkeys if they're around. But I think that once there is hunting pressure, the deer become incredibly sensitive, especially by the house. They see the lights on. They hear the people, they can see movement. I think that has just killed us on that part of the property that personally I look at it and I'm like, God, it should be effective. We should have good stands here. This shouldn't be what it is. And it's just been kind of an enigma for me where I'm looking and going, why can't we have this be a productive stand? And it's to the point where no one wants to sit there because, quite honestly, you talk someone into sitting there and they're not seeing anything. We do have pictures at night. We've had really nice bucks on there later, so I know the deer are there. But it is something that we're going to try this screening and then see what happens as far as if there are deer out there. Now, the nice part is, with that being the screening, we are going to also have the ability to put a camera out there. So we won't be blind on this. We're going to know if it works. But I think the screening is going to really help us this year in how we're doing things. And it's something I've read about and it just wanted to try. So it will be hopefully a staple of something that we do in the future if it works this year. Try different things. You never know what will work and what can make things better. If you can get an animal out there 20 minutes earlier so that it's not past shooting, think of the success that you can have every year. Keep that in mind. And on our next part of our show, I want to talk to people about something that I call a treecoy, which is putting a tree out in an area so that deer will use it as a licking branch, use it for scrapes, and use it for something to attract them. And it's also great to use for your cameras. All that and more coming up after this. If you love the shooting sports like I do, you need to check out our friends at Mech Outdoors. They have fantastic products, whether you're looking at shot shell or metallic reloading, or you want to get yourself a clay thrower so you can practice up for the season. For more information, check out their website at mechoutdoors.com. Hey, welcome back to the show. So I wanted to talk to you now about something I call a Treecoy. Yes, there's decoys for waterfowl, there's decoys for deer. A Treecoy is a fake tree that you are sticking out. This is something that's become incredibly popular. Many people have come up with products for this. There are things that you can put on the branches, and there are a lot of bases that people have basically designed that are expensive. So I've kind of modified it and simplified it, and I guess you could say cheapified it. I now use about a 4-foot piece of 1.5-inch PVC to 2-inch PVC. I will put that on the ground and I just hammer it in. Now, when you're hammering PVC, realize that if you hit it too hard, it will shatter. You can put a 2x4 on top and just drive it down slowly. You can use a T-post driver, but don't hit with too much force because you can crack it. I'll drive the PVC down into the ground about 2 feet. So I've got a good stable thing, and I leave about 1.5 to 2 feet outside. And then what I do is I take a tree, slide it in, I will drill through, and I'll stick screws through to hold the tree in place. You now have something that can become a focal point on a trail or a focal point that is in a food plot, and it works really well. Our best pictures that we have gotten where you really get an inventory of what you have for deer have come at these trees. And it is great because those bucks will stop. They will lick the branches. They will rub the tree. They will put a scrape down. And they really give you a great chance so you can see what you're hunting and what you have. Now, does this mean that that deer is going to be one that you get? No, but for us, where we have a lot of really nice 3-year-old and 4-year-old deer, it will give you an idea on if you have something that is around, if a smaller one comes out, if that's something you want to take, or if you're like, you know what, I know I got bigger ones around in the area, so I'm going to hold off. Again, the size of deer, I think, is overdone by people, but if you're in that type of a property where you don't want to fill your tag too early because you want to wait until peak rut, it really helps you to have an inventory of what's on your property, and it's really cool just having. We have, on our 2 properties, 7 cameras out on one property and 6 cameras out on another. It is so cool because they're cellular. You can see the different pictures, and it's also motivating. What I did learn last year, though, when we had cameras out, we had one property, there were no cameras out. Nobody wanted to hunt the property because we had so many good pictures at the other properties. So always keep in mind, hunting is hunting. If you have a good property and you don't necessarily have a bunch of cameras out, still trust your area, put your time in. But it's nice when you have these Treecoys out, you can focus your camera right on it. You can have it where it's taking the pictures for you and giving you that good inventory of your property. I hope that helps. I hope you guys enjoyed today's show. Stay tuned for next week's Hunting Guy podcast. Thank you again so much for listening. Give us a thumbs up, 5-star rating, share it on your platforms, and share it with your family and friends. Hunting is a sport we all need to grow. We're going to get there by sharing platforms like ours and shows like ours. Thank you again so much. Everyone have a great week, and God bless.